What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Once again, we are back with career mode for round number 10, but episode 11, because we did do that one episode in F2. Oh, how that was a long time ago now. But anyway, if you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe to see all of my F1 2019 content. But without further ado, let's get stuck in to the British Grand Prix. No upgrades, unfortunately, heading into this round. We have a major front downforce upgrade, hopefully coming on the car in time for Germany, I think. Yeah, so we'll see what kind of performance difference that can make. But today we're just going to have to tough it out with no upgrades, whereas a few other teams around us have made some inroads towards us. And also, I think one or two teams ahead of us have also made some inroads as well. But anyway, practice one. Nothing really to say. Pace was, it was okay. I didn't really flex the muscles or anything too much. I was just running the practice programs that, you know, don't require you to push overly much. We were running with our older engine. But for practice 2, we are going for qualifying pace program and also race strategy. So we shall see what the performance of the car is like. Since Austria and going to the default setup, I found a bit of form. I was able to push the car a bit more, and for this race, I'm also going to stick with the default setup because I was doing some testing like a week ago, and I found that the default setup was quite a lot faster than other setups I was testing at Silverstone, at least. It just allows you to push through high-speed corners a lot faster, which I found to be weird. But anyway, we topped practice 2, surprisingly, and we're going to move on to practice 3, where I've got nothing to do, you know, practice program-wise. So what I'm going to do is stick in my newer engine components, and we're going to push for a bonsai qualifying lap because we have a brand new set of softs to use in this session. This is a rare occasion for me. I normally get everything done in practice 2. I normally have to use 2 sets of softs to beat the target time set by the team, but I managed to beat it on my first lap. So here I am in the final part of practice, and I'm just going full send, seeing what I can do with basically no fuel in the car. But yeah, we'll see. We up the difficulty to 107 after practice 2, and we're going to see if that improves the pace of the AI somewhat. Because yeah, we got pole, or we got fastest in practice 2. That's so odd that I'm topping a practice session. We'll see what the AI can do now that we've increased the difficulty, and now that I'm going for another flying lap. So here we go through the fast S's. Car feels nice and hooked up. It feels really nice, to be honest. We're up by 9.5 tenths on Sebastian Vettel's fastest time of the session. This is our first lap of practice 3, and it looks like we're on target to smash the pace setter of Vettel after just one lap. This is the end of the session. The track is rubbing in quite well, but here we go through the final corner. This is an amazing lap, by the way. Across the line, it's a 1:29.2, and it puts us top of the session by nearly 1 second at the British Grand Prix. That is what happens when we go full send in practice and we don't hold back. That is shots fired at the top teams. That is unbelievable. So heading into qualifying, I think we're in for a good chance this race. I think the AI still have a lot of pace to find, though.
It's time once again then for qualifying here at Silverstone on what we're hoping will be a tight contest for pole position.
Okay, you should be able to get into the next qualifying session easily, so try to get a hot lap in early so we can save the tyres.
Thanks, Jeff. We're actually going to do the opposite. We're going to wait till the end of the session, and then we're going to put our fast time in. But you can see the AI have now pulled the sandbags, or put the sandbags away. They're into the 28s now. But of course, they do have an extra engine mix to switch up into for qualifying, and so do we. So this will be really interesting to see if we can find the same amount of gains that the AI are finding versus practice to qualifying. We come across the line. It wasn't a great lap, I'm not going to lie. It puts us P8. I think it's a mid-29. So we went slower than what we did in practice. Lately, I have struggled to find extra pace in qualifying versus practice, but I'm sure once I nail the lap, we should be fine.
hope you brought something to read today. There's an issue in the fuel system. We don't think it's anything terminal, but it is going to take some time to investigate and repair.
Okay, that's a big chunk of Q2 that we're going to miss, so we're going to skip the repair time, and we're going to go out again. Reliability has been a bit of an issue for us, and I feel like we do need to target that very, very soon for the car. Because, yeah, we're on our second engine, and other components are getting quite worn as well. So we're going to be falling quite short in the second half of this season. But rejoining into qualifying, I just decided to go out on a set of medium tyres to just see if I could get through to Q3 on this set. But little did I realise, it's bloody raining. There was no forecast for rain for Saturday whatsoever. There was nothing on the monitor when I was looking before I went out, before leaving the... Oh, and here we are, rain. We've missed like over half the session, and now, yeah, unbelievable scenes. I can't believe it. We got to march on now. We have to stick with this current set of tyres. If I boxed and put on a set of softs, then the track would be more wet than what it is. We complete our lap, and it's last place, 132.2, so the best part of 3 seconds slower than what it would normally be in dry conditions. We took a cool down lap, we charged up the battery, and now we're going to go again to see if we can do anything about getting into the next part of qualifying. This is just unbelievable. The reliability issue, which cut out all of the dry running for this session, as soon as we leave, it's raining. Like, literally, can my luck get any worse at a race where we might arguably have the pace of the front-running teams? Unbelievably. But anyway, we're green on this lap, but we're not green by enough. We need to improve by at least a second to beat just Albon, so we need to find maybe 2 seconds in order to make it through to the next part of qualifying across the line, and it's not good enough. So, our most promising race weekend has gone down the drain. Ricciardo right up there in P4, only 3/10 away from the pace setters of the Ferraris, and we don't even get out of Q2. How depressing is that? So, for this British Grand Prix, we have a lot of work to do. Let's go to the race.
Obviously, I expected a better session, but these things happen from time to time. Try to make up for it in the race.
We're right back where it all began. The very first World Championship Grand Prix was held here at Silverstone in 1950, with Giuseppe Farina taking the top step of an all-Alfa Romeo podium. He earned 9 championship points that day on his way to the inaugural title. His winning total at the season's end, just 30 points. My, how times have changed. So let's see who can reach the top step of the modern podium today. Let's talk about Day. That was a great podium in the last race. So can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
There are never any guarantees in this business, but certainly the performance last time out would have boosted their confidence coming into this one.
Okay, this is the team's home race. We're all relying on you to impress today.
I was relying on a reliable car in qualifying, but we won't talk about that, will we? Welcome, guys, to the British Grand Prix. One stop is a strategy. It would have been a bit more handy for us to break through the field if 2-stop was the preferred strategy from the AI. So it looks like strategy-wise, it'll be hard to get a leg up over, you know, those inside the top 10. It's just the way it goes here at Silverstone. The pit lane loss is, the pit stop loss is just so high because, yeah, the pit lane is so long and the pit speed is so low. So everyone will be wanting to minimize the time spent in the pit lane. So one stop is the way to go today. 15th place. We've got a fast car. We know we can overtake. So it's just a case of getting our head down and getting stuck into this race. 5 red lights and away we go for the British Grand Prix. Grosjean there with an amazing start. He draws alongside Albon and Sainz there. We're getting overtaken by a Williams, but we won't have to worry about them too much. There's been contact up the field. I think my teammate is out. I'm not too sure who he made contact with, but he's been sent spinning in this race. We'll need to get a replay of that because I have absolutely no idea whatsoever about what has transpired up the front there. Here's the onboard from Ricciardo. Nice getaway. He gets past Lucas Weber there, I think, off the getaway. Now he's challenging Devin Butler, and there's side-to-side contact. Maybe a bit of contact from the Haas as well. We'll need to check that because maybe there was a bit more at play there. Let's get a replay from, I think this is Lando Norris. Run into turn 1. Ricciardo, he hasn't left much space on the inside to Butler, and contact is made, and then I think Ricciardo gets a helping hand from the Haas. So, yeah, bit of blame on Ricciardo's side, but overall, I think that's probably a racing incident. Let me know what you guys think of that one. But meanwhile, we had to avoid to the outside. Now, I don't know whether we got an illegal overtake done here or not, but the stewards have seemed to miss it. I didn't get a warning. I didn't get an illegal overtake warning, but I think we entered, or we left the circuit ahead of the Toro Rosso already, so I think that's fair game for us, and we're able to press on with our battle. Thankfully, not losing a spot to Albon there, and we're able to get on with our race. So next up is Carlos Sainz. The Haas may have damage. We're not too sure. There might be consequences of that pile up at turn 1 where, you know, other people ran into the back of other cars. So we could see a case of a few people hitting on lap 1, but we'll have to wait and see. There is someone directly ahead of us who's being really slow. It might be a Force India, either Perez or Stroll. I'm sorry, Racing Point. I will get used to saying Racing Point very, very soon. But that day is not today. Up the inside of Sainz, maybe even Perez as well. We only get one, but that is fair enough. And we're into the points here at the end of the first lap. Quite fortuitous that we were able to take advantage of the people who spun on the first lap. That's Giovinazzi now out of this Grand Prix. So he'll be pulling off to the side. If a safety car comes out, that would certainly help me out. I may even consider diving in on the first lap and putting on hards to run to the end of the race. That might be a viable strategy to run to the end of the race. But we'll see. Perez up next. Still getting caught up behind the Racing Point train of Lance Stroll. Do we go for a dive into turn 2? No. We shall wait. We'll be patient. We know we've got a fast car. We're not, you know, amazing on the straights. I think we'll need to possibly get moves done into, I don't know, unconventional areas of the circuit as Perez has a little go at Norris. This might be one of the unconventional overtakes I was talking about, round the outside into the S's. And there we go. Had to catch the back end as we were sliding out, as we, you know, ducked in and out of the dirty air of Lando Norris. But we've got the move done on Sergio. Will he come back at us though? Probably, knowing the nature.
The energy store is getting worn, reducing our overall capacity. The more charge you hold, the faster that capacity will drop.
Okay, we are getting a little bit sketchy with our components here today. The energy store is an older one that we've chucked in. It's the one that we've been running all season. So I think we've only got like 95% capacity. If you look at the bar on the bottom right, there's a bit that's kind of like whited out. So I just thought I'd chuck that in so that we could possibly make it to the end of the season without having to take an extra energy store component this season. You only get two for the whole season. Like, what? And free ICEs. And not too many other components where you can get a third either. So, yeah, we really do need to work on reliability. It cost us in qualifying. It's now starting to harm us in the race. And at some point, we will have to take grid penalties. But we're pressing on up the inside of Lando Norris. The Renault is really good at high speed. I feel like I'm really, really strong in the middle sector of this race. The rear downforce upgrades that we applied to the car in Austria are certainly helping with the balance of this car. The car feels very, very stable. I can push it quite hard into high-speed corners, and it might actually be helping the tyre wear to some degree. But anyway, it's given us good confidence today. Lance Stroll is up next. Still don't know if he's got damage or not, but he certainly seems slow at this point of the Grand Prix. Look at how slow he is through Cops. We might be able to get the move done in the same spot that we did to Sergio Perez, around the outside, heading into Beckett's, and we had to catch the car somewhat as it got a little bit lively, but we get the move done, and we are I think, best of the rest now for the midfield. Lucas Weber might be up the road somewhat, but apart from him, we are best of the rest today. P7 in this British Grand Prix. Lance Stroll is an absolute rocket ship on the straights. So, Racing Point again, just going for outright straight line speed and have nothing to offer in the corners. So that's why overtaking those cars is a little bit more difficult, and why we had to get the move done into an unorthodox area of the circuit. But now that we've cleared him, I feel like we can pull away from him quite easily. But we need to manage the fuel. We need to manage the ERS more importantly. So we'll see how that goes. Here comes Sergio. Double overtake is coming up for the Racing Point driver, and he moves himself up into P8. But you might be wondering, why the hell do I underfuel the car so much? The answer is, Renault, the engine itself, is so good at fuel consumption, and we also need to look after the engine temps, which I'll talk about.
Weber is ahead of you. Gap to car in front is 6.5 seconds. They're on old softs. Their tyres are 7 laps old. We think they've got one more stop. The time last lap was a 1 minute 34.1. You're closing by 0.4 per lap.
Ooh, good pace versus Lucas Weber, which is nice to see. Going back to the engine and the, fuel strategy that I employ. The Renault is so good at conserving fuel. Even in standard revs, the car will recover fuel. So I don't really need to run with an excessive amount of fuel, because that will just weigh the car down. And even still, I put like I take out a lap and a half-ish worth of fuel at the start of the race. And more often than not, I end up with a positive amount of fuel at the end of the race. Like, I can't burn enough fuel. I end up overweight by the end of the Grand Prix. So that's the strategy that I'm employing. There's absolutely no need for me to work on any fuel consumption upgrades for this car. At least it's already amazing. I think going forward, I actually need to take even more fuel out of the car, because, we're not maximizing the fuel load at the moment. We're still ending up with excessive amounts of fuel at the end of the Grand Prix. And also, it's actually better to run in lean and standard revs, because it keeps the engine cooler. It's really easy to overheat the engine this year. But meanwhile, great pit stop for us. I managed to get the timing right with the gantry, the pit gantry, and we just emerged in front of the Force India, the Racing Point, sorry. And we finally get a good pit stop. So possibly that's down to me, or maybe the Renault boys taking some initiative and taking risks in the pit lane, which is nice to see. Daniel is responding on the next lap, and he should hopefully go on to the medium tyres to run to the end of the race. But no, the team has screwed him over again with tyre strategy, and he's going on to the hards. He's done half the race on softs, and for some reason the team have given him hards to run to the end of the race. I'm on mediums, and my tyres are technically older than his. So Ricciardo's going to have no pace and no tyre wear for the rest of this Grand Prix. But meanwhile, we're trucking along here. We made some good gains on Lucas Weber towards the end of the first stint. We actually gained a little bit by doing the overcut on him as well. So pace-wise, we're looking fantastic here up against the Haas slipstream. DRS, high deployment modes are engaged, and we go clean around the outside into Brooklands. And that is P7 for us in this British Grand Prix. Valtteri Bottas a good 7-8 seconds up the road. I don't know whether we'll be able to do anything against him. I don't think it's worth trying to push for that kind of margin anyway. We're just going to take excessive wear out of the engine. So I think from here we're just going to manage the gap to Lucas for the rest of this race. He's actually on hard compound tyres as well. So his pace, for that very reason, isn't that great. So not a good strategy choice from Haas either. The mediums will easily make it to the end, given how much we were able to get out of the softs in the opening stints of this Grand Prix. But anyway, flying through the third sector, we're pushing for a fast lap here. We get a 32.1. I still feel like we could probably get more out of it, so we'll probably do a bit of battery saving. We'll charge it up, and then we'll go for a bonsai lap at some point in this Grand Prix, and we can see what kind of fastest lap we can muster out of this car. Because, yeah, I've kind of just been managing the pace. I've been managing the engine temps, making sure I haven't been overheating the engine, battery hasn't been charging up that well this Grand Prix, so I've been running in low deployment modes for the majority of this race. But I think this is the lap where we're going to push on now and see what kind of lap we can pull out of the hat here in this British Grand Prix. Up to overtake, hot lap modes to really squeeze the lemon. It literally is a lemon, this car that we're color-wise. In Australia, I don't know if this is a thing in the rest of the world, but if you call your car a lemon, it means that it's a piece of crap and unreliable, which actually might be somewhat accurate given the state of this car. We have had a few reliability niggles. So yeah, it is a lemon. Screw it. Purple through the middle sector. Not a lemon on this lap, so that is nice to see. Again, this car feels really well balanced. I can push it with so much confidence now that I've switched to the default setup. I'm starting to get more used to the game and understanding what is required to go fast and be efficient with your driving. And yeah, the lap times are now showing 1:31.5. We have gained on Verstappen this lap, so it'll be interesting to see how much I've actually gained. So let's ask Jeff.
Verstappen is ahead of you. Our gap to the car in front is 10.1 seconds. They're on old softs. Their tyres are 4 laps old. The time last lap was a 1:31.7. We're gaining by around 0.2 per lap.
And there we go. That is proof that the front-running teams are not unbeatable. We can be faster than them, but at the moment we have to turn the engine up to 11 in order to be faster than them. But, you know, there you go. This is the small strides we're making at the moment with our car. You know, we are well and truly best of the rest, but we are now starting to get that momentum. We're starting to show signs of being a front-running team again. It's this slow progression. I say slow, it's actually been quite rapid, to be honest. The amount of gains that we've made, especially lately. We are really breaking away from the mid-pack now and starting to, you know, plot our course for the top of the Formula 1 grid, which is nice to see. But meanwhile, Devin Butler, he was last after the first lap with Daniel Ricciardo after tangling with him. Thankfully for Ricciardo and Butler, no front wing damage, so they were able to press on with their race. Butler has recovered a whole lot better than what Ricciardo has, and he's now charging onto the back of me, but I'm not too worried. I've been just cruising, again managing the engine to get it to the end of the race. And here you can see this is Max Verstappen now overtaking Valtteri Bottas. So the Red Bulls in this race are showing quite good speed. Last lap of the Grand Prix. Gap to Butler is 1.5 seconds. I think I might turn up the engine somewhat on this last lap just to keep Butler out of the 1 second range. And that should be enough to keep the position. But meanwhile, Sebastian Vettel, he's been the pace setter all weekend. He wins the Grand Prix and he'll do his championship a good amount of good in this race with that. Lovely English here from Tiametmarduk here. But meanwhile for us, it's going to be P6. Another good bout of solid points. A really good drive today. Solid recovery after a disaster qualifying.
Well done, good finish. You stepped up and achieved what we asked. Good job.
And here we are, a team that is no stranger to the podium, taking their place on top once again. A sublime race today and a stunning win for Ferrari.
So there it is, lads. The British Grand Prix. It is a double podium for Ferrari. Mercedes kind of falling by the wayside in this one, which is interesting to see. Bottas getting overtaken by Verstappen. Toto Wolff will not be happy about that one. But I think I'm going to have to abruptly end this video because as I'm speaking right now, the Austrian Grand Prix is literally 2 minutes away from starting. So I need to end this video, start rendering so that I can get this video out in time for you guys to see on the same day as the Austrian Grand Prix. So with that said, thank you so much for watching. You're going to see some of the upgrades that we're going to do towards the end of the video. I think we go for ERS upgrades, we go for drag reduction upgrades, and maybe something else. I'm not too sure, but we've made some solid momentum in both the drivers and the constructors standings. Slightly worrying for the rest of the teams now. at least in the midfield, that they probably won't be able to catch us from now on in, but we're gunning for the front runners. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more racing game content. That's it from me today. Until the next video, I'll see you next time.